If you want to see how to make these black bean brownies, then just keep watching. To start, you're going to need 2 cans of black beans, then 1 cup of cocoa powder. I like to use half unsweetened dark chocolate cocoa powder and then half cacao powder. It gives it a nice chocolatey flavor and you get an extra nutritional content by adding the cacao powder. Since these are sugar-free brownies, I like to use this 0-calorie all-natural sweetener. This is not the one I normally get. This is made with erythritol. Normally I like to use baking stevia. Stevia is derived from a plant, so it's just a more natural way to get sweet without the calories or the sugar. Next, to replace our eggs, you're going to need 2 tablespoons of flaxseed, then 1/3 to half a cup of melted coconut oil, 2 teaspoons of baking powder, and if you like nuts, you can add 1/4 cup of raw walnuts or whatever nut you like, just chop them up finely. You will need 1/2 to 1 teaspoon vanilla extract, and then my secret favorite ingredient is the maple extract. This gives it a really unique flavor adding this. Next, to make it extra chocolatey, I add this vegan dark chocolate by Lily's brand. To mix everything, you'll need a food processor, and then to cook it in, you'll need a pan, and you're going to want to line that with parchment paper. And get your oven preheated to 350 degrees. Next, we're going to get started on our flaxseed eggs. We're going to need 2 flaxseed eggs for this recipe, so that's 2 tablespoons ground flaxseed and 6 tablespoons warm water. Mix those 2 together and set them to the side until later in our recipe.
I live in this moment. That's the game I play with you. You got me thinking. You got me thinking about you. You got me thinking. You got me thinking about you.
You're going to want to go ahead and drain and rinse your beans until the water runs clear, and then add them right to your food processor.
Tell me what you wanna do. You got me thinking.
Up next is our chocolate. So like I said at the beginning, I use half a cup cacao and a half a cup dark chocolate unsweetened cocoa powder. So adding the cacao powder is adding a lot of extra nutrients and antioxidants, and you're getting the full benefit of the cocoa bean. So do half and half. I like to add the extra dark chocolate because it does give it a nice, rich, bold, dark chocolatey flavor.
You got me thinking about you.
Up next is our sweetener. I'm adding about a 1/3 cup here. I didn't have enough, so I did end up adding a little extra honey. Then I added about a 1/3 cup or so of the melted coconut oil. Also, you can eyeball this. Sometimes you'll need more, sometimes you'll need less. It kind of depends on humidity and how well you drained your beans. Next, my favorite part, we're going to add some of that maple and vanilla extract to really kind of give this a more well-rounded flavor and a little extra punch to the brownies. Again, get creative. You can add almond extract, whatever you like. I think maple goes really well with the flavors in this recipe though. Lastly, this is what the flaxseed is going to look like after it's been sitting for a while. As you can see, it's kind of congealed and become more of an egg-like consistency. So you're just going to go ahead and add that into your food processor with all the other ingredients. Once all the ingredients are combined evenly, I like to transfer it to a separate bowl and then get working on chopping up my chocolate chunks and my walnuts. I find doing it like this just makes it a little bit easier, and then it allows you to actually have chunks of nuts and chocolate inside your brownie without mixing it all in. As you see here, the Lily's brand, like I said earlier, I get this at Sprouts. Maybe Whole Foods has this too. I haven't looked, but I always get this brand at Sprouts. So just go ahead and roughly chop everything, and then you're going to want to fold it into the brownie batter. As you can see here, the batter is pretty thick, so you're going to have to do a little arm work working it into the pan. If you use a square pan, you probably won't have this much trouble, and they'll come out a little bit thicker, and you'll have to cook them for more time. But just kind of work it back and forth, be gentle with it, be patient, and it will eventually do what you want. So just work it back and forth till you have a nice smooth surface. Lastly, I like to add extra chopped chocolate right on top. It kind of gives it that extra little, hey, there's no beans in here, these aren't healthy for you look. So I popped it in the oven. I initially set my timer for 25 minutes, but I did end up keeping it in there for about 35 to cook fully.
Where I'm losing all control.
Right, so this is what the brownies look like after about 35 minutes in the oven. They did come out pretty thin, but that's fine. They still taste the same, and they cooked a little bit longer than expected. So I do want to remind you guys that these aren't your traditional brownie. They do turn out more like a fudge. So what I like to do, and I think is best with these, is let them cool. And then you're going to want to go ahead and actually put them in the fridge overnight or for at least 6 hours and kind of let them firm up a bit. After that, you can cut and serve them, which I'll show you later in the clips. But I like to keep them in the fridge overnight, and then the next morning I'll cut them up and either portion size them and pre-wrap them in saran wrap in portions, or just keep them all in a Tupperware and bring them to share with all my friends. Alright, so this is what they look like the day after being in the fridge all night. As you can see, they're pretty firm and pretty thin, but they're not crunchy, believe it or not. They're very soft like fudge, but once you put it in the fridge, they're like pliable like this, and they kind of stay in their shape. So what I like to do is just cut it down the middle, and then cut it down the middle the long way, and then just divide it into little squares from there. And like I said earlier, from there I just like to either keep them portioned in one Tupperware or individually wrap them. So that's what they look like in the middle, nice and soft and chewy.
You got me thinking about you. Tell me what you wanna do. Tell me what you wanna do.
I hope you guys enjoyed this recipe, and you can add it to your weekly meal prep to help you stay on track throughout the week. If you like this video and you want to see more, don't forget to hit subscribe and hit the little bell so you're notified every time I post a new video. Thanks for watching!
I don't know what you do.